What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We're gonna be jumping into something kind of cool. 11 Cities Tour 1985. Something about skating. I know Simple Reacts already did this one. He beat me to it. And then everybody, after they saw his, came and attacked me and said, you need to get this one done too. This is something you need to see. So we're gonna jump into it. We're gonna check it out together. I don't know if we're gonna need the CCs or not. If it turns out that we do, we're gonna turn them on. Hey, somebody, y'all, seriously, the request for this one was absolutely overwhelming. So we had to do it. Let's jump in, let's check it out together, let's roll.
Winter in the Netherlands. Dismal, bleak, little snow, less ice, and not as cold as in the old days. A disappointment.
They really just kind of made it sound terrible, no? Bleak. The winter is a terrible. Like, it's not that bad. It's just like winter anywhere else, I'm sure.
To the Dutch. We're a winter people, we Dutch. Nothing we like better than snow and ice, and the things we can do on it.
I don't even know what the hell that is. They're like the fastest sailboat of all time. What's going on, the ice sailboat?
Especially skating. It's the favorite sport here, not just racing either. The favorite event, in fact, is a skating tour through the northern province of Friesland, along a cross-country course touching 11 of its ancient cities. The 11 cities. If it's Dutch, it's organized, and that includes the 11 Cities Tour. An all-day event involving 16,000 skaters, it needs an organization.
16,000 people participate in this grand spectacle of freezing your nuts off through 11 cities. I might stand on the sidelines in one of the cities. I don't know that I would ever participate. Honestly, I would make it 5 feet before falling down. I need one of those little walkers that you use on the ice in order for me to ice skate. So good on you. I don't even understand how do you even condition yourself for something that's that far?
It needs a lot of ice too, and this year the organizers say there isn't enough, at least not yet, and there's too much snow.
Too much snow?
Het ijs is de afgelopen dagen goed aangegroeid. De kwaliteit is.
They're optimistic though, and ready to give nature a helping hand.
Maar met behulp van veel vrijwilligers is de kwaliteit toch aanzienlijk verbeterd.
Volunteers, part of an army of volunteers tidying up the ice along the canals and lakes of the 200-kilometer course.
Tidying up volunteers, they got whole machines ready to do this. People are ready for this. Like, that's pretty intense. I was what? I was born in 80. I was 2 years old when this one took place. Like,
a big job, a lot of energetic effort. Why?
to melt the ice into a level plane? Come on. We're out there landscaping for this.
Well, it's the winter of 1985, and there hasn't been an 11 cities tour, an elfstedentocht, as we Dutch would call it, since 1963. Little snow, less
That's a
ice.
long damn time.
Will there be one this year? The news conference where the organizers will announce their decision. And more journalists on hand than for the coronation of the Dutch Queen. The answer? Bad news.
Voor de komende dagen zullen leiden tot een situatie waarin het niet verantwoord is.
Not only is the ice unsafe, but a thaw is forecast. An old story as far as the 11 Cities Tour is concerned. Since its organization in 1908, in fact, it's been cancelled more times, 14, than it's been run,
Wow.
12. A record of some kind, no doubt. Winter in the Netherlands. Not as cold as in the old days. A disappointment to the Dutch. And then, finally, ice. It's 3 weeks later. Cold that has crippled half of Europe has frozen Friesland solid. Solid enough for an 11 Cities Tour.
Everybody be skating like an Olympic skater. Look at this. You seriously find me? I would be on my ass out there in the middle trying to get someone to help me up.
The thickness of 15 centimeters, which, for safety reasons, the organizers insist on. "16 centimeters, he says. When does it start? How do I sign on? 11 cities fever is setting in. They won't cancel again, will they?
En de tijd wordt nog nader bekendgemaakt. Dan moet u zijn bij de Frieslandhal in Leeuwarden. Bij diverse veegboerderijen. Maar ik ga me de raad geven. Aanzien
You mentioned there are people out there that say, hey, I really hope we don't get frozen in. And these people are like, hey, I hope we get all that ice.
The answer, when it comes, is the lead story on the national evening news. A historic moment, says the anchorman.
Een historische beslissing heeft genomen.
Uitgaande van 4 nachten strenge vorst die we nodig hadden.
The 11 Cities Tour, the first in 22 years, is set for Thursday, February 21st. Just 2 days away. The fever becomes an epidemic. It's time for participants to sign in, even if it means a night in a sleeping bag outside registration rooms.
Wow.
Only 16,000 skaters can take part. Whether men, women, boys or girls, it's first come, first served.
This is like a full-on system. Look at this.
Flashlights? Good idea. It starts in the dark, the 11 Cities Tour, and the course isn't lit.
No part, like there's parts of this thing that are completely, absolutely pitch dark. Yeah, that sounds real. Y'all don't got any predators up there though, do you? No kind of big bad animals that would probably come and hunt you down on the ice. So I guess that's a plus. But starting in the dark, that still seems like a great way to go ahead and find yourself separated from the pack. If you better get enough flashlights and batteries for your trip.
Here's a would-be participant who forgot his skates. Hey, can you rent skates around here?
Fahne, sjaals, stickers. Wie naar Fahne, sjaals, stickers.
De eerste keer, toen ging het.
The event's a little more organized.
How you come prepared for this historic event and forget your skates?
Stickers.
De eerste keer, toen ging het.
The event's a little more organized. Even the Dutch Air Force has a hand in things.
Maar toen vlogen we 5 meter hoog.
Ja.
Skaters and fans pour into Leeuwarden, capital of Friesland province, home base for the 11 Cities Tour. Organizational machinery is grinding everywhere. The tour may start in Leeuwarden, but it covers a lot of ground before 200 kilometers later it ends in the same place.
We got people flying in, we got people driving in, we got people taking helicopters in. Come on.
This is the finish line in an event which for some participants is a race, 277 to be precise. About 1 million spectators are expected, and one task for police
Why do we cut up the ice like that? I don't understand it. Why you would want ice chunks instead of...
is crowd and traffic control. Ambulances will line the route, and first aid posts, one every 16 kilometers.
Wow. They really do plan it out.
The long-awaited spectacle will be covered live all day long on Dutch television, starting at 5 a.m. The 11 cities race and tour, a sort of Dutch Kentucky Derby with a Super Bowl thrown in. Some call it the greatest, the toughest steeplechase in history.
Tough is the understatement.
It's killed 3 contenders in the past, mutilated hundreds more through frostbite, packed hospital wards with cases of broken arms, legs, hips, ankles, head.
And yet they are lined up out the door to go lose some fingers and toes.
Packed hospital wards with cases of broken arms, legs, hips,
Dedication
ankles, heads,
right there.
wrists. Yet Dutch skaters still clamor by the thousands to take part.
Links, hier is de leiding.
Ja.
Dus ik bedoel, gaat u daar even naartoe?
Dan kun je daar even informatie in winnen.
Dus kijk waarom nou? Kijk waarom
Racers, 277 men like this, have trained all year round for years for an event that hardly ever happens.
Dit moeten we nou inleveren.
Ik denk het wel, een klein nummer. Zo. Dat is het mooiste nummer wat je even kan weten, hè? 2 keer 1.
Wij dan ook goed bevrijd zijn van de zenuwen.
Maar dat het lopen heb je natuurlijk nog.
Je moet naar zoveel lopen, dus dan kunnen we beter heel Friesland doorlopen.
The big day. Long before dawn, most of Europe still huddled under blankets, asleep. Friesland Hall in Leeuwarden, where the 11 towns race and tour begins. The races start before the tourers.
Het eerste stuk hier? Ja, het loopt eruit. Nee, ik geloof niet dat... Als het voor de topmensen is, moeilijk. Ja.
For the racers, assembled behind fencing, the starting shot will sound at 5:30 a.m. and they'll be off on a mile-long run before they reach the ice.
Madness.
Winter in the Netherlands. Not as cold as in the old days, but dismal, bleak, not for them. And not for the tourers either. For them, it's not winning, but just completing the punishing 200-kilometer course.
That's ridiculous.
Each who does gets a little silver cross, an elfstedentocht, a sort of Dutch red badge of courage, something to tell the grandchildren about. They're released in groups of 1,000 every 15 minutes. Snake, the first of the 11 cities, 22 kilometers from the start. The front runners arrive, get their cards stamped at the checking station. No stamp, no victory.
It's like a mad-ass scramble. Everybody quick, row up. They don't even stop for 2 seconds to grab a stamp. Then they're on the way again. How pissed would you be if you got to the end and one of your stamps was missing though?
A short dash across a dike or street, and there's the ice again. And the darkness. It's about 8 a.m.
That was real dark. That was like the darkest dark.
Into the all-day event, and some tourers are still starting. Not all can leave at once, or the ice would give way. The tourers who left
What? They can't all go at once, or they will broke the ice.
earlier, and the racers are now
They came up with that number somehow. Have they broke the ice in the past?
ice would give way. The tourers who left earlier and the racers are now strung out 84 kilometers along the course to Hindelopen, the fourth of the 11 cities. The first the racers can see if they take the time to look.
Is it always every man for himself? Is there ever like, are they like team competitors as well? Like, tell me exactly what goes on here. That's an insane long journey. 200 kilometers on the ice. Well, part of it by foot too. Like,
It's an hour later before the first tourers reach the town. A once thriving port on the former Zuiderzee, now landlocked, Hindelopen is over 700 years old.
I'm assuming it wouldn't take very long to end up with some sort of frostbite. Like, that seemed like something that could happen, creep up on you real quick.
No point in packing your own lunch for this trip. Drink will freeze solid, sandwiches turn to rock. And resting too long can be crippling. The racers again, nearly 100 kilometers into the event. As the pace quickens, speeds up to 40 and 50 kilometers per hour, it's tempo that gets you there. Looking
50 kilometers an hour. Whoa.
for an opening and taking it. Some of the early front runners are no longer in front.
I do think that this looks much easier than running, though. Like, let me get on some skates. Let me do this. Let me go at least for a little bit. I'll try it. Probably gonna fall down, but I'm gonna try it.
The raised drawbridge means a road out of service, but who cares on the day of the 11 cities race and tour? Which is now approaching Bolsward, the seventh of the cities. The skaters have to leave the ice, by the way, at the many points where it's weak. The mats and rugs help keep those skate blades sharp.
Oh. Go.
The tours, some of the 16,000, follow along a pace, albeit a slower pace.
It is a very, very leisurely pace that these people are on compared to those pro hardcore, ready to race it out to the very end kind of people.
Again, the race. It's 9:40 a.m., approaching the North Sea port of Harlingen.
Do they stop to sleep or they just keep on through? I guess you wouldn't need to. It only take you, if you're going 45, 50 kilometers an hour. Okay, no, you probably wouldn't. There's no like overnight sleeping or anything required.
And now, city number 8. The two frontrunners look a little lost, and that's one of the hazards in this event. In the 11 cities race in 1940, the 20 top contenders skated off in the dark to the wrong town.
Oh, you want to talk about angry when I arrive in the wrong town because I didn't know where the course was?
The right way this time is up and over Harlingen's main street. Whoops.
Yo, he just saved him?
Whoops.
What a cool dude.
The racers skate in packs, cooperatively changing place at the front where the pace is set. It's keep up or drop out. Approaching the finish, of course, it's every racer for himself. The winner today will soon emerge from this group of a dozen front runners. They're already well ahead of the record for the 200-kilometer run, set in 1954.
This gotta kill your back after a couple hours, though.
It was 7 hours, 35 minutes.
You gotta duck down under that thing. It will take you out. Don't be the person that forgets to duck.
Schools close the day an 11 cities race and tour is held.
Yeah.
Ice-free, the kids call it. Free, too, for the thousands of spectators on hand in this tiny hamlet, home ordinarily for no more than a few dozen people.
You know what though? Friesland is smart because you want to talk about bringing some people to your area, your part of the country, getting something like this going, bringing thousands and thousands of people in whenever it just so happens to freeze up enough. Like, smart economic move.
The stretch of ice they call the cemetery, the gateway to Dokkum, the northernmost and 10th of the 11 cities. It's where many would-be winners have called it quits. Just 4 front runners now, paced by a motorcycle camera team. Dokkum, 11:30 p.m. The front runners get their cards stamped at the checking station.
$11:30 p.m. he said. It's very light outside for being 11:30 p.m.
Then it's right back the way they came. No big problem now. But in the old days, when the course ran north in the dark, and Dokkum was the first city to reach, this might have been a painful collision, and this head-on at a rate of closure of 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. The last leg of the event now, and the ice, as you can see, is beginning to thaw. Leeuwarden, the 11th city, where an eternity ago it all began. The crowds have been on hand for hours for the finish. And here's the Dutch Queen arriving. Royalties traditionally on hand for this event, and the Dutch Prime Minister.
That's awesome. It's really cool that they get everybody involved. It becomes a whole-on spectacle. Like, there's seriously no better way to draw people into your country than doing things like this that extreme athletes and extreme tourists and things want to try, want to do themselves. Plus, you got all of the people there that are ready to do it. That's an extreme, like, economy booster right there.
The four frontrunners round the last bend in the twisting course. Victory's less than a minute away. But for whom?
Yeah, now they're going to start going absolutely crazy at the end, I'm sure.
Watch the one on the left, in back. Now he's second. Now he's in front. The winner.
It must feel amazing to finally be done with that.
He's Evert van Bentum, a dairy farmer, 26 years old.
A hardcore dairy farmer.
In circumstances like this in 1963, the winner, the Queen, and the press corps nearly sank through the ice. More racers reach the finish.
You did it. It must seriously feel amazing to finish something that crazily long. Like, what an accomplishment for a lot of these people. Like, imagine the confidence boost that you would have after that. It's ridiculous. Like, people can't even fathom 200 kilometers. And you talking about over ice, freezing your nuts off the entire time. Like, woo.
It's been a relatively easy run, a pushover compared to some in the past. No serious casualties, no wind, no blinding snow, and temperatures almost friendly. But an ordeal nevertheless. An ordeal that for thousands of skaters is still going on. It's ducking obstacles, sidestepping holes, staying on your feet, balancing an entire day on steel blades 1.5 millimeters thick.
How low can you go?
But it's fun, too. Fun for the fittest, as it has been since the 19th century, over 100 years back, before the tour got organized, before it became a race as well. In this village, a welcome mat 250 meters long. Winter in the Netherlands. It was this Dutch province, by the way, that Peter Stuyvesant, the first governor of New York, came from. And an even more illustrious American, John Adams, the second president of the United States, actually made an 11 cities tour. Not on skates, though. It was a business trip. He was here seeking Dutch support for the American Revolutionary War. Winter in the Netherlands. It's 5 p.m. and getting dark. And still they come, the thousands. The winter people. To wind down at the wind-up of their first tour in 22 years. All for a little silver cross, the Elfstedentocht, a sort of Dutch red badge of courage.
All for that, all for nothing, all for the bragging rights that you actually participated in something so savage and hardcore, like legitimately. Forget the cross. You tell me that you were a part of it, like respect, that's hardcore.
It wasn't organized in the old days. It was done in pairs and trios, not en masse. Humble origins for what the winter people now call their monster marathon, the 11 cities race and tour.
Maar ja, we hebben het record van Papi verbeterd.
No kidding. I bet you gotta let your feet heal for a week.
Dat was 10,59.
Darkness falls on Dokkum. It's 6 p.m. Skaters are still strung out along the course as far back as Bolsward, 75 kilometers away. In the old days, it was innkeepers who did this job, signing name, place, and date to the letters the skaters carried. The thaw's in full swing now, meaning this 11 cities tour came just in the nick of time. It'll be 12 p.m. before the last skater reaches Leeuwarden. And here's a scene from an old Dutch painting. But where's today's big winner? And if there's a winner, does that make the thousands still skating losers?
No, goodness. I don't care if you made it to like the last leg and you just had to fall out for some reason. Like, hey, you attempted it. Like, that's a ridiculous feat in and of itself. Going into it saying, I'm going to complete this. You got to be mentally sound, physically fit. You got to know exactly. Oh man, that's too much. That's too much. Try not to freeze.
Hardly. In an event which was a tour long before it became a race, you're a winner if you finish. Over 13,000 skaters reached the finish of this tour, a record. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you our record breaker, Evert van Bentum, the winner in 1985 of the 13th race of the 11 cities.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 11 Cities Tour 1985. I was 2 years old, and there were some super hardcore people doing some super hardcore skating up in the Netherlands. 100%. Hey, if you are somebody that has ever participated, like, shout yourselves out down inside the comments. That's something to be proud of. Like, woo! I'm not making it 200 kilometers on the ice. Not unless you're dragging me behind a sled team. And even then, I gotta have some blankets and some Eskimo clothes. Highly Combustible does tropical weather. That looked cold. That looked hardcore. That looked intense. If you have competed or you're thinking about competing, like, you a special kind of individual, 100%. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. Go show the original poster some love. I'm going to leave their channel down inside the description. Check out one of my other videos up here. Subscribe right here if you want to see more content, possibly your content. Till the next one, I'm Highly Combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. I love you to the moon and back. Peace.